you spoke on it before. You had during that time when you're coming up, you had a brother that was in the streets at the
Oh
time.
yeah, man. As soon as my brother graduated from Dunbar, man, and if many are familiar, many of your audience is going to be familiar with Peanut King. If they don't know him personally, as I do, they're going to know the name. You know what I mean? He was arguably the biggest drug dealer in the state of Maryland. You know, in the early '80s, late '70s, early '80s, and you know, he was one of those guys that recruited my brother, and my brother was one of the original, like I said, moped boys. He had brought 13 Gazelle mopeds, and they was, you know, riding around distributing drugs on the mopeds. So I mean, that's no secret. You know, I ain't giving up no goods. That's that's sure. Facts. They know that. Yep.
Okay, so that man, and you see your brother doing that as you're a youngster. Is he coming home with the money? Is you seeing the bread coming through?
Yeah.
Not only okay, so. Because you get to see, like I said, you get to see it from a different scope. You know who Peanut is. So
absolutely.
How is it, like, how are you looking at that? What are you seeing him? Is he driving the cars? Is it?
Man, let me tell you something, right? So you seen Back to the Future, right?
Sure.
Let me tell you something. I couldn't even pronounce the word Delorean at the time. He come through Holbrook Street in a Delorean, man. You talking about 1981, 82. He's driving a Delorean.
What should I call you?
So you can imagine, you know, how it was when he just pull up like that on the block and you like, what in the world is that? Doors open up, the wings coming up, like, wow, you know, but still never really understanding the magnitude of how much money they're making, how much drugs they're actually selling. And I mentioned my oldest brother, my next to the oldest brother who went to Dunbar, Kenny, but my brother, they call him Side, he was the one that's 6 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Before his time, you hear me? He got killed when he was 27, but I mean, he was way before his time.
As far as the flash
streets,
and
the streets, man.
Money,
I mean, my brother tried to protect, my brother Kenny tried to protect him from jumping out in the streets, but he couldn't, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a likable guy, you know what I mean? People like to have him around or whatever, and before you know it, he had a plug and he got in, you know what I mean? And he started getting a few dollars, man. I can recall going to the bathroom one day. So, you know, the way our house was made back in the day, you got to go through the second room and the third room to get to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I just come busting through the room, and I mean, he had money on the bed, on the floor, and on the chair. And he was sorting money out. And I walked in, I'm like, I'm going to tell. You know what I mean?
How old are you?
Man, I was probably about 7
years old.
And he grabbed me like, boy, come here.
Damn.
And he gave me 21s, and I was good, boy. You know what I mean? 21s, and I was good.
That's crazy. We got to take a pause real quick.
Man, what's up, boy?
What's up, boy? I had to pull up on you for this
My
one.
man, he said he might be coming. He might come.
Yeah. Y'all good, though.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Going back to that real quick. So you bust through the room, you see all the money. So you going through this situation, you young, and obviously, like you say, you know your brother's got the athletic background.
Absolutely.
So y'all doing that primarily first, obviously, because like you said, the respect level is different at that point. You're really necessarily kind of hiding, or not even you at the time, but they're kind of hiding what they do and putting it in, you know what I mean, the background, except for the one that you said jumped straight out there.
Right.
You really try to adapt to the basketball thing. So how early was it for you when you jumped into that?
Oh, well, no. So basketball was my love. You know,
Right.
Basketball was my safe haven. You dig what I'm saying? So even though I saw those guys doing it or saw the benefits from what they were doing, I still never really processed it. You know, I just like, oh, they sell drugs. But I don't really know because I ain't really thinking about that. I want to hoop. I don't care what time of day it is, where it's at, I'm going to hoop. And so it took for me to get to senior high school for a guy, one of my friends, he went to Lake, and he just came, he met me at the house after we got out of school one day. He said, yo, my brother-in-law got a lot of coke, yo, let me get an ounce from him. So by me just seeing it all the time, it was like, yo, go and get it.
So it wasn't until senior high school.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I wasn't fucking around before then. I was just hooping.
Okay.
So much of my time was dedicated to playing basketball. I'm going from rec to rec. You know what I mean? I'm season to season. I mean, we play basketball all year round.
Okay.
You know, it is summertime, we play B&B on the Project Survival. Wintertime come, we playing winter ball. You know what I mean? So no free time from hooping.
Bet. So let's stay there real quick, and we'll get to that so we can stay here and just get this out the way.
Okay.
As an adolescent, when you coming up in that situation, like you playing in these different tournaments, like you from East Baltimore, in the time that you was kind of you playing against the Sam Cassels?
Oh yeah, Sam was on my first 11 and under BNBL championship. We won the first year they introduced 11 and under. We won everything.
Okay.
Yep.
And besides Sam, who else? Do you remember who else on your team that was notable? Or how would you categorize that time? Like, talk about some of them games that you was going through and.
Man, it's a lot of guys. See, it's so crazy, man, because East Baltimore was full of talent.
Absolutely.
And it just seemed like they all ended up at Dunbar. But just growing up, the same guys. Well, if you go to Cecil Kirk Rec, you know what I mean? You got your Bens, you got your Cools, and you got your Lukes. You know what I mean? If you go over West Baltimore, you got your Hot Shots, you got your Sean Burks, you got your Russell Brocks, you got those guys. My man old Simon Says, you got them guys over there. If you go to, you see, down Lafayette, you had your Scooters, you had your Leon Howards, you had your Kirk Lees, and them guys played down Lafayette. It was like, depending upon what neighborhood you was from, that's the recreation center you played from.
Right, that's what
you know what I mean?
Like, yeah.
And I mean, we beefed on the court. But afterwards, we had built a rapport from playing each other, being so competitive, that we all had good relationships. We could hang out afterwards or whatever. We talk shit, of course, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But that's just what it was. But I mean, yeah, man, it's just some guys, you just forget about how good they were, coming up playing. You know what I mean? And some guys had exceptional talent, and some guys were just as you thought they were going to be because they put the work in. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Sure. So, okay, now we're going to, obviously moving forward. You in middle school, late middle school. How are you adapting to school? Are you going to school? You making sure you maintaining
absolutely.
the school?
Mine wasn't going for nothing else.
Not going for that?
Nothing.
Okay.
I told you, man, I had perfect attendance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Grades I wasn't no A student, you know what I mean? But I was above a C, you know what I mean, to a B plus, that's where I was at. She'll go for a B minus or a B sometimes, but when you dip below that B and you go to C minus, none of that, unacceptable. I would rather get my ass whipped than get punished. Because if I'm punished, I can't go to the rec.
Can't go nowhere.
Yeah, so that's all I want to do. Come on, crack me a few times, and my mom had a stick, y'all. So the crutches,
Yeah.
the wooden piece at the bottom where you adjust it according to how tall you is.
Take it out.
Yeah, let me tell you something, champ. She called it baby. She whipped everybody ass with that. Cousins, nephews, brothers, everybody. And guess what? Nobody had enough heart to take that motherfucker on a field trip and leave it there. Nobody. You know what I mean? To this day, my niece cuffed it up. When my mom passed, my niece cuffed that joint up and she got it. You know what I mean? But that's like a heirloom to the family. Yeah, everybody got cracked with that. So yeah, I ain't the sharpest, knife in the drawer, but I'll cut you. I mean, I think I speak well. I think I can make good decisions, you know what I mean? So if I made any bad ones, they were thought out. I don't just act spontaneous to whatever, I think things out and, hey, that's what I'm gonna do. I go ahead and do it. But yeah, I was a pretty good student in school. I was definitely C plus to B minus, B plus kind of kid. Yep.
Oh, that's what's up,
Yeah.
man. I just wanted to kind of get that landscape because, sometimes when you can get kind of the home stance and see how things was going home early, you can really see what's kind of led to what it's.
Oh, I will add this if I may. We grew up fucked up. Don't get that twisted. I mean, welfare, you know what I'm saying? Mom was a single parent. One thing my mom never put on my plate was that we were poor. I never knew we were. I got to be like 17, 18, 19. And then especially when I start getting a few dollars, then I'm like, hey, we up, you know what I mean? But we went through go knock on Miss Bessie's door. My mother said, can we get a cup of sugar? Then I sneak over there. My mother said, you got any bread? My mama ain't keep saying all this shit. But because Miss Bessie understood, she would give, she would give, she would give, she would give. You know what I mean? But we grew up tough, so that was a lot of our decisions to jump out in the street was predicated upon, how tough it was. But my mother never, man, it was nice when she cried and we didn't understand why she was crying. My oldest brother knew, you know what I mean? But that was one of his motivating factors for going into the military. So he was always sending money home. So things was a little better for us. You know what I mean? Then by the time he came out, and then my brother started getting a few dollars, he would always slide a few dollars, And then my next brother went in the military, he would do the same thing. So that kind of eased it up a little bit for us. And then by me being a baby boy, everybody always giving me. You know what I mean? So yeah, just to set that platform, we was fucked up growing up.
Did you ever ask them that? Is that the reason why maybe your one brother got into the streets? Or Like, is that the reason why they went to the military?
Well, yeah, my oldest brother for sure.
The oldest brother
my
for
oldest
sure.
brother for sure. You know what I mean?
Do you
Because
think
he
the
was.
other one went by example?
I think the other one went because my brother came home and gave him the whole game.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He prepared him for the things that he was like the crash dummy, my oldest brother. So when he went in, my next brother went in, and I mean, he crushed all the fucking records in there.
Okay.
I mean, he boxed, you know what I mean? He ran track, you know, and he was, I don't know, that he told me he was a Lance Corporal, whatever it was, you know, he had a nice little rank, and they all had an honorable discharge when he came out. And he made bad choices where he didn't follow up, because he could have, you know, been security, police, whatever, you know, but, you know, he was working in a bank up there, and he wound up on the bank tellers, you know what I mean? You ain't supposed to be doing all that. He just went off the professional tip, and it just cost him. And then once you do that, you know, then you're subject to start making any kind of decisions. And he made a lot of rash decisions.
And that's
You know?
is this the one that came back home with Peanut?
And this, no, that was
That's
the one
the-
who left right out of Dunbar.
Okay.
The one who left right out of Dunbar is the one who got with Peanut.
I got you.
You know what I mean? But the third one, he was the one who got all the game from my oldest brother who went into the military. And so he went in and excelled. But
Yeah.
as much success that he had, he still didn't make good choices, man.
Gotcha.
He still ended up right back home. You know what I mean?
No, I got you.
Yep.
Okay. So now you're in high school, and like you said before, coming up in East Baltimore, and you playing, and you so dedicated to the game,
Mhm.
you kind of know the prestige. And Kirk, like I told you, I had Kirk Lee on here.
My guy.
He spoke about it like he came from Calvert Hall, but he's from East Baltimore. You know what I mean, Lafayette, like you spoke about.
Yep.
And he knew what he was stepping into going to Dunbar. Now, you already had that since you was a kid.
Yep,
To get the opportunity to get there, how was the process of kind of adjusting to getting there and then making a team and going forward from there?
Oh man, let me tell you something, right? So, again, like I told you, I was pretty a sharp kid, you know what I mean? But going to Dunbar, it used to be a citywide school, meaning you needed an 80 average to get into the school.
Mhm.
So you just couldn't be subpar. You had to get them grades up to get into Dunbar. So once I got accepted into Dunbar, I already came in a little popular. Fucked a few seniors because they thought I was older than what I was, because all the guys knew me. Your Sean Tysons, your Kirk Lees, your Booby James, all those guys showed me a whole lot of love. And the girls see me around them, they must think that I was, you know, like I just transferred in or something.